Okay, so welcome to the deep dive. Today we're shifting gears a bit, not digging through the usual reports or history books.
Right, something different this time.
Yeah, we got sent this really fascinating fictional narrative. It's called The Gene Weavers.
hmm
And while it's, a story, it gives us this amazing framework to think about some pretty profound possibilities.
Absolutely. And exploring a narrative like this, it's valuable because it can sort of crystallize these big societal or biological shifts into one scenario.
Yeah.
Lets us chew on the what ifs without all the usual noise.
Okay, so let's paint the picture. You've got these beings, right? The Vehlari. They show up over the North Atlantic.
First appear.
Exactly. No big invasion fleet, no demands, just there, shimmering. And their first message, it's really unified, kind of strange even. We are kin, we are future, we are the bridge.
Hmm. That's quite an opening line. An attempt to connect, maybe. Disarm.
Feels like it. That lack of immediate threat, it sort of bypasses our usual defenses, doesn't it?
It really does. We're kind of wired to expect a fight with the unknown.
Yeah.
So focusing on kinship, destiny, that could be super effective at lowering the guard, plays on that deep desire for connection, for progress.
Totally. And then maybe a month later, the big event happens. The Vehlari release a virus.
Okay, that sounds more like what you'd expect, panic stations, right?
You'd think. But no, this thing is called Syntar, and it's described as a repair system.
A repair system.
Yeah, suddenly diseases gone. Genetic disorders reversed. People stopped degenerating so fast. It's hailed as this absolute miracle, a gift. No strings attached, it seems.
Okay, wow. So the immediate question there, the big one, is about gifts that seem too perfect.
Exactly.
Like, what's the catch? When something fundamental, like being vulnerable to disease, just gets switched off,
Yeah.
does that kind of massive change ever come without a hidden cost?
Which brings us perfectly to Dr. Uni Yard. She's a geneticist down in Johannesburg in the story.
Okay.
And she's studying genomes after Syntar, post-Syntar. And she finds something, well, impossible. A fifth nucleotide base in human DNA just appears. She calls it V.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. For anyone listening, our whole understanding of life, DNA, is built on four bases, A, T, C, G, a fifth one, that fundamentally rewrites biology.
Right, it shouldn't be possible.
And this V gene, this fictional element, it lets the story really dig into what life even means, what heredity is. The way it's described, folding time across generations, quantum memory structures.
Yeah, heritable through DNA and experience.
It's speculative, obviously, but it
Yeah.
makes you think about information transfer beyond just, genes, like memories encoded into reality itself somehow, persisting across time, accessible to descendants in a way our biology just doesn't do. It's wild stuff.
And then things get darker. Dr. Yard reports her findings, and she disappears.
Not good.
And shortly after, her assistant, Matteo, uploads just one tiny file, the label Homo Vehlariensis.
Homophiliensis. Wow. Okay, so that's not so.
Not at all.
That label, it's basically saying that this V gene isn't just an upgrade, it's a fundamental change, a transformation into, well, something else.
Something Vehlari linked.
And Yared's disappearance suggests someone powerful thought this discovery was dangerous, destabilizing.
Fast forward a generation, we start seeing the kids born after Syntar. They call them the Luminous.
The Luminous, okay.
And they seem enhanced, superhuman almost. Taller, way smarter, perfectly symmetrical features, no allergies, no birth defects, seemingly no neurodivergence as we define it.
Huh. That last one, lack of neurodivergence. Interesting.
Yeah. And they pick up languages like nothing, seem to be able to communicate with plants, interface with electronics directly.
Whoa, okay.
So at first people are amazed, right? Celebration, wonder, endless debates about what it means.
But you can imagine, even with the celebration, there must have been some unease creeping in. That lack of variation you mentioned. It sounds good on paper. No allergies, great.
Right.
But no neurodivergence. Does that mean losing cognitive diversity?
That's the question hanging there.
And those weird abilities suggest maybe a deeper connection to whatever the Vehlari are or their tech than people realized.
Exactly. And by 2095 in the story's timeline, that unease becomes unavoidable truth. These kids, they aren't really truly human anymore.
The shoe drops.
Big time. And the numbers are just stark. Fertility rates for legacy humans, they plummet, down 83%.
83%. That's
Yeah.
catastrophic.
Meanwhile, the Luminous population just explodes. By 2130, they're 94% of everyone on Earth.
94%.
And the chilling part, there was no war, no big conflict. It was just silent, a biological replacement.
It tells you so much about the Vehlari strategy, doesn't it? It's the long game, subtle. Why fight when you can just engineer yourself into the dominant position?
Makes you think about other kinds of subtle influence, maybe less dramatic ones in our own world.
For sure. Where the impact isn't obvious day to day, but the long-term consequences are huge.
Naturally, some people try to fight back. A group called the Free Genome Accord pops up.
Ah, the resistance.
They throw everything at it. CRISPR gene editing, mitochondrial resets, even trying to, transfer consciousness digitally, digital soul transfers.
Wow, desperate measures. Did any of it work?
Not a bit. Total failure. Catastrophic failure, actually.
How so? What went wrong?
Well, the story suggests the V gene wasn't just in the biology anymore, it was deeper, woven into reality itself somehow, affecting perception, probability, emotion.
So trying to remove it was like pulling a thread that unravels everything.
Pretty much. Attempts led to things like mass autoimmune reactions, bodies attacking themselves, or reality itself becoming unstable around the subjects. Just chaos.
That implies a level of bioengineering that's almost godlike, far beyond anything we can imagine.
And the Vehlari, when confronted about these failed attempts, their response is just ice cold.
What did they say?
You cannot remove evolution, only delay it.
Oof, that's chilling. That reframes everything, doesn't it? They don't see it as an intervention. They see it as the new evolutionary path, whether humanity agreed or not.
Yeah, it forces that question. Who gets to decide the future evolution of a species?
Stuff.
But there is a sliver of resistance that works, a secret project. Project Eidolon.
Eidolon.
They manage something incredible. They create a child, Nara, without the V gene.
How? After all those failures.
They give her a synthetic cognitive lattice, something artificial that mimics some of the V gene's effects enough to shield her, make her undetectable to the Vehlari and the Luminous, but without actually changing her fundamental biology.
Okay, that's clever. A workaround. So she's potentially the last original human.
Potentially. A living link to what humanity was before Syntar. Her existence is basically a challenge to the Vehlari's total control.
A huge burden for one person.
Definitely, and her upbringing reflects that. It's intense. She's trained in things like stealth biology, quantum linguistics.
Quantum linguistics.
Yeah, and get this, narrative warfare.
Narrative warfare. Manipulating belief systems.
Exactly. She learns to fight not just physically or biologically, but by changing the story. And through this, she comes to understand the Vehlari better. They aren't just monsters.
Oh, what are they then?
Engineers. Desperate ones. They're apparently a dying race, and this is their survival mechanism. They follow this pattern on world after world. Cure, breed, blend, dominate.
Cure, breed, blend, dominate. So it's not malice, it's survival.
Seems like it. They don't kill, they replace. They weave themselves into a species until they're welcomed, integrated, dominant.
That makes it more complex somehow. Sadder even. Not good versus evil, but just competing needs for survival clashing.
Yeah.
Still devastating for the species being replaced, though.
Absolutely. But Nara holds a potential weapon. Remember Dr. Yorid?
The geneticist who disappeared, yeah.
She left something behind, a code, hidden within Nara's artificial cognitive lattice.
What kind of code?
Two things. The original pre-Syntar human genome sequence and a disruption frequency. Something designed to destabilize the V gene's lattice structure. Not kill the Luminous, but potentially revert them. Make them human again.
Revert them. Wow. But how would she even use it? Where's the central point?
Ah, the main hub. It's called the Global Mesh Route, and it's located in the Vehlari's massive orbital citadel, the Crown Spire.
Of course it is. Up in orbit. Getting there, let alone accessing a central system. That sounds basically impossible.
You'd think. The defenses must be insane. Not just tech, probably biological, linked to the Luminous consciousness, maybe. A living system.
Right. Not just breaking into a servo farm.
So Nara's plan,
Yeah.
it's beyond risky. She uses that Eidolon biotech again
Wow.
to grow a temporary V gene. But it's like a simulation, a skin clone overlay.
So she can pretend to be Luminous.
Exactly. She trains intensely to mimic their behavior, their way of communicating. The plan is to get deliberately caught as an ascendant, someone evolving, seeking an audience in the Crown Spire.
Walk right into the lion's den pretending to be one of them. That is incredibly brave. Or crazy. Maybe both. It's a one-way ticket if it goes wrong.
Yeah.
But it speaks volumes about her commitment, right? What she feels she has to do.
Absolutely. The weight of humanity's future or its past on her shoulders.
So she gets inside the spire, and the narrative describes it as just breathtaking. Overwhelmingly beautiful, serene, efficient, perfect.
Oh, yeah. the temptation.
Exactly. She feels the pull, the allure of this flawless existence, free from pain, from struggle. There's a moment where she genuinely thinks, maybe I should just stay, forget the mission.
That's such a critical moment. That hesitation, it really highlights the core conflict, doesn't it? The seductive power of perfection, even if it's not yours.
Yeah.
Or not earned.
What are we willing to give up for utopia?
Yeah. Can true fulfillment even exist without the struggle, the imperfection?
She pushes through it, finds the mesh root. It's described as like a living tree, physically connecting all the luminous mind.
The biological network.
And she knows the code won't kill them. It'll just strip away the V-genes effects, return them to human imperfection, the good and the bad.
The whole messy package. But then she has this confrontation. A conversation with the Vehlari consciousness, or their representatives.
What do they say?
They argue humanity chose this. That there was a deep yearning in us for survival, for something better than disease and death, and they simply answered that call.
That's a tricky argument. Did humanity really make an informed choice, knowing this would be the outcome?
Or was that yearning just exploited, twisted?
Raises big questions about agency, consent, especially when there's such a power imbalance.
Nara throws it back at them. You took away our choice. You didn't ask.
Fair point.
And she looks at the luminous, civilized, peaceful, advanced, seemingly happy, and she's torn. It's glorious, but it's not us. It's not human.
That final conflict.
Yeah.
The beautiful cage versus messy freedom.
Ultimately, she deploys the code, makes an incredibly painful choice.
What drives her, do you think, even seeing that apparent perfection?
I think it comes down to valuing that messy freedom more. That autonomy, the right to choose our own path, flaws and all. Even a perfect existence imposed from outside isn't acceptable if it costs us our fundamental nature.
The right to be imperfectly human.
Yeah. And the effects are instant, global. People describe it like a veil lifting, confusion, powers fading, old memories flooding back, human emotions, anger, fear, grief, but also joy, love returning with full force.
Wow, a global reset.
And the Vehlari, they don't fight, they just fade. As the V-gene network unravels, their presence just dissolves.
Gone.
The world is left in this stunned quiet. Then comes the grief, apparently. Grief for the lost perfection, the lost connection, but also a reclaiming. Music starts again. Arguments, real connection, real loss, human experience.
So the return of the full spectrum
Ah.
suggests that maybe imperfection, vulnerability, the capacity for pain and joy, it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's what makes us, us.
Seems to be the message.
And Nara, what happens to her?
She's gone too, vanishes, but leaves one last thing, a message, etched at the base of the now silent crown spire.
What does it say?
They came to perfect us. I came to remind us that imperfection is the proof we are free.
Wow, imperfection is the proof we are free. That is hard.
Doesn't it? A powerful closing thought. It suggests freedom isn't about achieving some external ideal of perfection, but embracing the messy reality of our own nature.
Yeah, challenging that whole idea that a utopia forced on you is still a utopia worth having.
So wrapping up this deep dive into the gene weavers, quite a journey. What really sticks out for me, it's that central tension, the siren song of perfection versus the maybe harder value of freedom and, well, our own flawed humanity.
Yeah. It makes you question our own drive for quick fixes, for easy answers, for utopian ideals. Maybe there's real value in the struggle and the flaws themselves.
What about for you? What resonates most?
I think for me, it's the subtlety of the takeover, that it wasn't guns and bombs, but biology and belonging.
Right, the cure-breed blend idea.
Exactly. How easily massive change can happen when it's framed as a gift, as progress. It really pushes you to look twice at anything that seems too perfect, too easy, to ask what the real long-term cost might be to who we fundamentally are.
What does it mean to be human? Would you take the deal? The perfect, altered life? Or stick with messy reality?
Big questions. No easy answers there.
Definitely something to mull over. Thanks for diving into this one with us.
My pleasure. Fascinating stuff.